What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counter Punch Boxing News. And I got some new news for you concerning Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia has confirmed that he's in talks with Manny Pacquiao after the recent postponement of the Errol Spence fight, the potential super fight at 147 pounds. You know, the Mighty Badger wants to go up and test his might, and he wants to do it once again with talks of Manny Pacquiao. And of course, I see Manny Pacquiao, wanting to prove something to himself, and I think that fight could happen. I think that fight definitely could happen because, Manny's a free agent now. He's not ran by Bob Arum or controlled by Bob Arum. And I see that fight happening pretty easy. And I also see that fight being a good tester for Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia went to 140, and he beat Lipinets, and he beat Broner, and he went back down to 135. But Manny Pacquiao is as of now a full-fledged 147-pound fighter, and if he's not a pure 147-pound fighter, he's definitely a 147-pound puncher. Okay, so that's something that it looks very interesting looking at the matchup between Mikey Garcia and an undefeated fighter that's in the top pound for pound versus a legend like Manny Pacquiao. Okay, you look at a fight like that with the speed, the agility that Manny still has, he's a dangerous opponent. It's dangerous each way, and I think Mikey has more to lose than Manny Pacquiao. If Manny Pacquiao loses to Mikey Garcia, he's just a younger, fresher, more determined guy that hasn't missed a step, that's in his prime, you know what I mean, that has been well schooled and trained and taken time with, versus Manny. Manny's been through war after war after war with many different fighters. Barrera, Morales, Marquez, he's been Bradley. You name it, man. He's been in there with multiple. He's been in multiple wars, half a dozen wars. And dealing with a guy like Manny Pacquiao, being a southpaw also, it's a good barometer for Mikey Garcia, because Garcia is the kind of guy, man, he has that straight right. He's real poised. He takes his time, and I see this would be a great test for him, but I think it's more risk versus reward. It'll keep him busy. It'll show him what it's like to be at 147. And I think he should go at 140. I don't think that it should be at a catch weight because, see, at least this will be a step towards what you say you want. He says he wants Errol Spence. The Mighty Badger wants the Mighty Rhino, right? So if that's the case, he needs to take on the Pac-Man, the Hedgehog. So that's Pacquiao's name, the Hedgehog, right? So I think that would be a good barometer for him, because he's one step, and if he can get past Pacquiao at this stage in his career, that'll boost his morale, and it's good for his resume because, Errol Spence, I think, is just too hard, too strong to be going up in weight, okay? There's a lot of guys that went up in weight, but not a lot of guys just went up there to fight that particular guy without having a tune-up fight at that division, at that weight class, especially one of the hardest punching guys. Now, what it will do, it will break his streak or his desire to want to fight 3 undefeated fighters in a year's time, because, he just beat Robert Easter. He beat Lipinets. And, he was after Errol Spence. Errol Spence, I'm kind of glad that fight's not happening in Tyson Fury and Wilder. I think that was the best thing that happened to Mikey Garcia, because I think he was just getting a little bit too big for his britches, simply because, I have mixed feelings about that. But I'm glad that it's not happening right now, because, see, if he goes in there and gets destroyed, we'll know. Then we'll know, and only then we'll know. If he goes in there and does a pretty good damn job with Errol Spence, then, whatever, but still loses, still more so. But him going in there and fighting, or a potential fight with Manny Pacquiao, it's still a dangerous fight. Don't get me wrong. It's still a dangerous fight for Mikey Garcia, because he's never been in there with a puncher like Manny Pacquiao, someone with the speed like Manny. You know what I mean? He was in there with a tall, rangy guy like Robert Easter, but Robert Easter didn't have the punch to hurt him. What happens when the mighty hedgehog Manny Pacquiao, comes in with those combinations, comes in with those angles, giving him those foot pivots. He has to be prepared for that. And that's nothing like Spence, but it is coming from the southpaw stance. That's the only way they're similar. You know what I mean? But as far as punching power, he will get a pound of flesh on how a welterweight's supposed to punch. So then if he gets past Manny Pacquiao, he'll know, okay, I know how these guys punch up here. And it ain't pretty. Ask Arturo Gatti. Arturo Gatti did the same thing, and he went up for a tune-up fight right before he fought De La Hoya. And De La Hoya showed him, you don't belong up here. Go back down. You know what I'm saying? Because, and Gotti, I think Gotti, he did okay for about 5 rounds, but, he was getting massacred quick. He was bleeding the first round. De La Hoya opened up on him, and that's all she wrote. So, not to compare skill set with Mikey Garcia, just showing a smaller fighter can go up in weight, and get exposed to a lot of hard punching that he cannot handle. So, but it still looks like a good fight on paper, man. Mikey Garcia versus, Manny Pacquiao. These guys have options. And I know that the fight was postponed with Errol Spence, but I think honestly, Errol Spence has too much other stuff. He's supposed to be so avoided, and then people calling him out. I don't really believe that as much. I think he has to fight his own battles where he's at, but things happen for a reason in the sport of boxing. The Wilder and Fury fight, if that happens during the same time, it automatically postponed that. So it was meant to happen. But but that is another question, another possibility, another possible fight that we have to look forward to, possibly. Okay, but it does look like something, it's a head scratcher, because it's like, man, who would win out of these two guys? Manny looked great last time we seen him fight. He got in there with Matisse, and Matisse, another guy going from 140 to 147, even though he's had a couple fights at 147. He learned the difference between how a person hits and punches at 140 versus 147. And I don't think he can deal with the punching power there. Even though, you can argue that it was his time in his career where, he kind of quit on the Postol fight or whatever. But, someone like Manny hits you with punches, and those punches didn't seem like it hurt that much, And just giving you a comparison of a 140-pounder going up to 147. Anyway, you guys tell me anything you want to add, comment, please subscribe. And you guys been counterpunched. Peace.